Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning into this expert podcast series. I'm Abhishek Goyan. I'm senior full stack developer. I'm passionate about technology and innovation. Today's episode is on design, development, and career insights with Himadhar. It's my pleasure to introduce Himadhar. He's a team lead currently working at DemoUp Cliplister in Germany. Let's give a warm welcome to Himadhar. We are excited to have you here today.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Abhishek. It has been nice to be invited here, and lucky for me that I got to see the previous content that you guys posted. And it's really nice that what you guys are doing to give a framework of how people work and how people educate themselves. And hopefully, what I share will be useful to your audience.
Okay, Emma, thanks. Nice for talking about you. So we have a couple of questions. So let's move ahead with the questions. So could you tell us more about what made you to decide to move into Germany?
My career has always been on front end and be it mobile or web and everything around it, right from Figma, and back then it was Photoshop and other technology. So I wanted to explore different geographies in terms of how they approach solutions. And incidentally, I got a job offer from one of the companies in Germany, Photo Technologies, and I applied through Stack Overflow. There was a job section in it which just came and went. And funny enough, I applied only during that phase and I got through. And it's been great coming here. Coming here has been weird in a lot of terms, but finding a job takes a lot of research for people who want to do it in a normal manner. I was lucky to get through the Stack Overflow job section and stuff like that, but there are formal ways to do it, and formal as in short ways of doing things. You have to look out for some keywords when you apply for jobs, not in Germany alone, but any job in general. At least in Europe, you have a couple of sites that definitely have these openings. They are Stepstone, Indeed, Zing, and even LinkedIn. All of these post jobs that are just like anywhere you find in India and everywhere else. One thing that you have to look out for is it says visa is sponsored or sponsored visa, and so relocation is handled and so on. These keywords help you filter out the jobs that you want to. And the next thing, these are the only two things you have to take care. One is sponsorship or visa and stuff like that. Sometimes you can take care of it yourself, but it's better that they do. That way you know that there are harmony. And the second thing you have to look out for is language requirements. So in Germany, they speak German, obviously, and it's a completely, I would not say alien, but it's hard to pick up on the language. Definitely hard because it's not structured in a way that we are familiar with as Indians. All our languages have a language structured in one manner. Even English is tough for us in that sense. And German is a new way of thinking, hard to compose sentences in the way the particles play along in a word, in a sentence. Keep those jobs that you're not liking. So if you think German is something that you're not familiar with, it's not your cup of tea, skip it. And same goes for Amsterdam, and same goes for Norway or any other countries. If the job says you need to be familiar with the local language, then either be familiar with the local language or skip it. And yeah, it takes about 3 to 6 months, and somehow there will be some job that will open up to match your requirements, and you can definitely.
Sure. So Hima, like you mentioned that you got this job from Stack Overflow. So what are the ways you see like people from India can apply and get into the jobs in Germany, and how is the job market there? So if you can give insights on these.
One thing I personally observed is everything that happens in US reflects in Germany after a couple of months, and then it reflects in India a few more months later. For example, if there's some recession that hit US, you will see the repercussions after 12 months in India, but in 6 months in Europe, including Germany and other countries. So it's good to observe these patterns before you apply abroad, because it might be a really pain once you land here and then you're told to leave your job and stuff. I have seen quite a few friends going through this nightmare, and it's good to observe such patterns. Second thing, know that there is something called as PPI, Purchase Power Index. If let's assume you have a milk packet that comes like 40 rupees a liter, out here it's about say 150, 160 rupees a liter. If you convert, this also translates to everything that you do here. So if they say you get say 5 lakh rupees INR as your monthly salary, it feels very nice. But then again, it's gross, and then there is 40% tax, and then you get around 3.5 lakhs, and in that 3.5 lakhs, some goes for rent and some goes for your day-to-day living, transportation, logistics and stuff. Your savings will be lesser than what you would have saved with a 40K salary in India, because the way you spend money drives a lot of your economics, personal economics. You need to do this research before applying a job and notice that, okay, my current status is so and so, and this is what I need to apply to have the delta bridged and have a good life when I move there.
Yeah. So Hima, actually, what is the current market situation and how much saturated it is. Like already, people are moving from last 2-3 years to Germany. So
The reasons for people moving to Germany are not just into tech. It is not just Germany, also for that matter, across Europe. A lot of skilled people requirement has increased in past 3 years, if I may say, from 2021 and so on. And luckily, that's when even I got a job. The requirements are morely towards skilled people, and that means you need to be specialized in one field, and there is a need out in the country, something similar to H1B or even L1 to be more precise, but not as hard as what those visa requirements. Here, it's another job, and it's good to migrate here. One thing you need to focus is whether it adds value to you in person and the financial cap. Otherwise, you will get jobs right in nursing to doctors to be it any kind of socially relevant jobs like teachers and other things apart from IT also. And this entire ecosystem is asking for skilled people across the streams of jobs that you have, and one of them is IT. And it's been great.
so right now market is good. There are a lot of job opportunities are there, right?
Yes, government also is increasing the visas that they normally allocate to particular geography. So for India, it was around 10,000 per annum or something. It's 90,000. It's like 8 times more than what it usually have. And these are the things that other countries also are proactively investing their time on to get more skilled people into the country, and
Right.
hopefully those who add value to the community also. It's not just if you're a JavaScript developer, please come. It's more like if are you a good person also. So all of those things matter to them. That's part of their visa process, and it reflects.
Nice. Yes, Hema. So let's move on to next question. So like when you planned for this, so what were the major challenges you faced moving to Germany?
So there are challenges before moving and after moving. So I'll just cover the before moving part. It's insane amount of paperwork. And I'm married with a daughter, and so that means my paperwork increases 3 times. And keeping track of those and being available with all the things that they ask in an organized manner solves a lot of your communication problems. So if you go there and they ask you so and so in visa interview, if they ask you so and so, if you're organized enough, it's easy to do things. Luckily, my wife helped me, and we were able to process things faster. Second thing, it's attention to details. They say have 2 copies of some documents. You literally have to 2 copies for all 3 of you, and that means to 6, and your bundles become so. Staying organized becomes more important, and the only way to solve this is attention to detail and just be prepared. And you have good number of times. So if your appointment is so and so date, it will be like 15 or 20 days ahead from your current day. You'll get update beforehand, or even you can pick sometimes if the calendar which just shows you up. So you have sufficient amount to prepare, and it's not too much. So just pay attention to what you have, and that part is solved. But after coming here, there are insane amount of challenges that was not even visible back then, which is cultural shock. There is tremendous amount of language barrier. So you go to a shop, you ask for, say, give me like how to purchase something. So the first thing that I noticed was buying a ticket in the train. And they have a vending machine that gives you ticket, and it's everything in German, tick, 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 and hard. And then I just asked a colleague of mine, he said, okay, just install this app. It's very straightforward with English and pretty easy after that. But this took me 1 week just to buy a ticket to understand how to read addresses, because here the addresses are just one word, like just a state name and you go, which was again a cultural shock for me. I've always been in India, and that kind of added a lot of headache on the back of your head. And cultural shock means people generally sound rude to you. They're not rude. They are very open. They're very welcome. But the way they speak feels like they're rude, and we are not used to that. We always say, for one sentence, we always add 3 other sentences. If somebody asks you for an address, you take him for a tea. I mean, that's how close we are back in India. And out here, if you ask some address, and if they don't know, they just say, I don't know, and just move on. And it kind of hits your heart, but you get to pick up on these things very soon. And then there is seasonal depressions. Every winter, everyone goes to depression because of the weather that's very gloomy, and you are not allowed to move around because it's all cold and snowy or rainy and stuff like that. Then there is procrastination, obviously. When things are not going out or anything, you just tend to relax and watch movies and binge, and you don't upskill yourself, right? At least luckily for me, I came with my family, so there was always someone to bounce off conversations with. Simple things like being precise with your notes. Always being prepared sounds too fancy, but it's very easy. Have a Google Keep or your notes app and just make some notes and be ready. Just 3-4 points, and it's sufficient enough. since I came with family, so the headache was collective. We all shared the headache, so it was easy to mentally stay stable on those lines. And obviously, you go through these only because of your lack of vitamin D and B12 and all the medicinal supplements that you're supposed to have. And here it's too much because there's some sunlight, you just see it as an advertisement. It just comes and goes. Very recently, I picked up on upskilling from a different medium. Normally, I go to blogs and read those new updates and stuff like that. But I came across Otter, which I hope Pramod spoke about. It helped me pick up normal conversations around how people process the information to small things. And it's not just about the reading part that it offers, it's about how they did it also. And that was fun. And now even ProCodebase that you guys are involved into, amazing. I got to pick up on small things and only select those ideas that I want to brush up on. Again, I've been in the industry for 14 years, so I don't want to learn a lot of things from basics. But you guys have curated in a manner that I can cherry pick what I want, and that's a good thing. It helps me to stay refreshed. And yeah, I keep reading novels and other things to have my other aspects of reading also in place, which is fun, which is required for the weather. That's it, man.
Yeah, Hima. So, like for you, like you were into Bangalore, right? For a lot of time, so now like
Born and
weather challenging their language is also challenging things. So these like real challenges, which like we don't think, but when we really move there, then only we realize that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So now, okay, let's move on to the next question. So like as you said, right, 14 years you have been to the front end development and
Yeah.
you are leading a team. So what would you advise to the aspiring front end developers?
If you truly want to be a front end developer, uh, that's fine. And it would be nice to have more exposure towards backend also because it helps you brainstorm better or ideate better on their problems when you want to solve your problems. Because for me, it's all about a customer analogy. An architect has a customer in the backend people, and backend have their customers in front end and so on, right? And front end, obviously, their customer is the actual end users. So you always have to think for your customers. So if you're a provider or if you are a front end guy and backend is you're a customer for the backend, they should know what you're asking for. So the sense of communication needs to be clear, and for that you need to be familiar with what they're doing. So don't limit yourself to front end. Having said that, I have a kind of basic template that helps all the new upcoming students who want to involve into front end. I segment them into 4 parts. One is, it sounds too silly, but there's something called as box model in CSS. It tells you how the margin padding and the width and height and all of these things impact self as well as your sibling elements. Box model sounds very simple, but very effective if you understand it to solve a lot of your design problems. Second thing is event management. It sounds very easy to make a fancy React app or something or Angular or something, but you need to know how event bubbling happens and all those things. It's a rabbit hole. The more you learn, the more you keep uncovering. But good that it somehow makes sense somewhere down the line, hopefully. And this is really relevant to make your web apps very performant oriented. Now that you have good RAMs and everything, your browsers are smart enough. This is not much of a problem, but it still helps you make a very effective website. Lastly, know what are the components in general. So you have HTML, JS, and CSS, but what about it? You need to know that what HTML builds as a DOM and what is CSS DOM and what is objects in JavaScript. It shouldn't take much time to read them, but to know them, you need to really practice. And very important, the last one is DSA. Sounds very silly for a designer or a front end guy to know DSA and stuff, but very, very relevant and as relevant as I've observed in doing backend also. That is your performance and everything drives through your way of thinking, and that is only sharpened like a knife when you keep practicing. And that is how you do DSAs to make your brain as a knife to be sharp enough. Focused on what you're solving, and one small way of solving one problem can have 2 different solutions, and which solution helps you keep it clean. Like Fibonacci series, you have 2 ways of solving basic level, and one solves faster but one solves it smarter and so on. So knowing these things left shift a lot of your problems. And yeah, read design content and understand designing in principle.
Yeah, Emma, so you spoke a lot about like basically having the full backend knowledge and knowing the full stack gives you the overall picture of designing something, developing something to end it. So give you kind of ownership also. And focus on DSA will really help in problem solving. And also, I also align with you on these things. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question. And so how do you upskill yourself?
I go through the same series of things that any fresher will go through, but at least to keep my notes in my head refreshed. DSA, I keep pursuing them. There are quite a few tech blogs that help you stay updated in terms of latest trends. So for a front end guy, you need to know what is deprecated, what is new, and how are these problems solved recently or in newer way of solving existing problems. For example, there was now it's a joke, but it was an actual interview question. How do you center a div? So if you know this, you're a bit good at front end. Back then, there is position attribute and that. There's a lot of things to do. Now you can just use flex model and or grid model and center and anything, and play around with dimensions, how to make responsive and all of these things. There are a lot of newer things that came up apart from, so media query was the next thing, like a really big thing back then, and now it's nothing. So you can do more things with the newer way of querying and solving resolution orientation, all of these problems very effectively. And so stay up to date with your learning. And obviously, I already mentioned this, but I will mention again. There are certain key places where learning is linearized. It's easy to learn. Say there's the dev.com or even ProCodebase, where the structure of content is more organized for a new guy as well as an old guy. So you can cherry pick if you're familiar with certain topics and you want to familiarize with the newer ones, or if you want to start fresh, read the whole content and stay up to date.
So, I have one question in the continuation of this. So, what would you suggest aspiring engineers to upskill yourself so that they can easily get a job in Germany or let's say in US?
One thing I would strongly advise is to not think geography as your benchmark to achieve. It's what you can offer that should make sense, and what you should offer should make sense from what you are interested in. If you like something, pursue it, and definitely irrespective of geography, you will get a job. And one extra thing is, if you're truly interested in being geography oriented, brush up your local skills. For example, if you want to Germany, have at least there's levels of language A1 and B1 and C1 and so on. Brush up at least to some extent that you can just go to a shop and order some things and pay with card and come out like a cup of coffee. And these are the things that help you stay sane in any geography. If it's English, maybe we have certain amount of pedigree around it, but it would be great if you want to look out for Germany or Netherlands or certain countries where there is a mix of local language as well as English. You need to brush up on local language skills among other things and be mentally prepared for the cultural shocks that come in. Technically, always focus on the core principles of engineering. There is SDLC, there is DSA, and there's a couple of other things for each stream that are truly basic that you need to know, irrespective of which stream you choose, but front end, back end, full stack, DevOps, it doesn't matter. All of these help you place yourself better. And so I currently am working in a remote setup, even though I'm in the same city my office is, because engineering works outside, everyone else works in office. So for me, it's even more challenging to stay up to date with the language because workplace, it's always English, and I just sit at home and talk with my neighbors or friends. So it's always been English or my local mother tongue and stuff like that. So spend more time on being up to date.
Nice.
And always have a list.
Yeah, Himadhar, nice to know all this. So one last question is that, do you think that someone is really want to move abroad in Germany and getting job there, they should start learning some German language, and I'm just asking, will it help them?
Definitely. So let's familiarize with what are the companies that are available in Germany to be very clear about examples, right? You have Bosch, which we also have in India, and there are Siemens and big companies that we are familiar with back in India. They're into hardware and stuff like that. And there are other companies which are truly local here or around Europe, which are not part of our subcontinent, right? Knowing language helps you cross that bridge of applying to these companies. It sounds very silly. I'll give a parallel. I'm a BSc graduate, so back at least till COVID time, it was hard for me to apply to companies. Luckily, I started my career with TCS, which was godsend because it helped me build a career around IT, even though I'm a BSc graduate. And after that, it was very hard to apply to companies where they overlook the fact that I'm not an engineer and still give me a job based on my skill. This is not there in Europe. This has never been there in Europe. So it's easy to apply and move on. Your background doesn't impact the way you want to contribute. And second thing is, we are familiar with how we talk about financial aspects, right? We ask for so and so hike and so on. This is something that I have not seen here in Germany very specifically. You ask for certain amount, and if it fits in budget, they close it. They don't talk about what your past money economics was and everything. You just make it like a proper deal. It's not about upselling or anything on those lines. So, which is fine. So, know two things: purchase power index. Know, understand that the salary that you want to get is sufficient for you to have a decent lifestyle. Know a bit of language, because it really, really opens up a huge market for you in terms of applying and everything. It's like 20-80. So 20% of the jobs that you can apply without knowing, and the remaining 80 is only because of the language barrier. So it's something like that, and it helps. So Deutsche Bank and all these big companies hire you with or without English knowledge or German knowledge, to be precise. But having German knowledge opens up a lot of roles within the company also. Like, it's again 2080.
Nice. Yeah, Himadhar. So so this answer a lot more about that getting jobs in Germany and what all things if aspiring front-end developer would upskills. So you have talked a lot about career insights and also. So thanks for joining into this session and like great learning from you. And you have always been my inspiration. Like we worked together in Origo software and there like almost 3 years. So like great learning from you. So with that, like I would just want to say that thank you for joining into this session. Okay, Ma.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for hosting me, and it's been great talking to you after such a long time. And hopefully, this adventure that you're into yields better results for everyone who's associated with it. All the students who want to learn definitely should use ProCodebase.
Sure, Ma. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.